Hello, I am here to present about the legalization of drugs and effects to the society, especially the good effects to society. And and I started this speech with a survey that I made a couple of weeks ago. The most of you responded that you guys are in favor of legalizing cannabis, but But you guys are not. Most of you are not in favor of legalizing cocaine and all types of drugs. And also, the interesting thing about this survey that I made is that most of you guys are not certain or are not so sure about how we are doing in the war of drugs. And that's why I'm here to convince all of you uh, to change your mind about this argument of legalization of drugs because legalization of drugs is an issue talked or it's a trend talk in politics in these days. Like for example, in Canada just legalized cannabis, and more countries are even thinking about it or following the same steps as Canada and also as Uruguay, as a country, Uruguay. Okay, and and also because this prohibition has been bringing bad effects to society since the prohibition of the 1920s. And that's why it's now a topic in order to change the norms or in order to change the rules and in order to change the facts, of course. And my thesis to convince all of you in legalization of drugs is helps reduce crime, increase pharmaceutical practices, and bring more economic benefits to people. Now, my first point is how legalizing drugs can help reduce crime. Well, according to an article called "The Case for Legalization of Drugs," written by The Face, and it was written in 1995, in which he explains that the cost of waging the war of drugs, I mean, that causes billions of dollars and law enforcement and imprisonments, it can be better spent on reducing poverty and also reducing the consumption of drugs. So, and this is a very important point because a lot of people in a situation of poverty, they, 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 they tend to be desperate and, and choosing this way of on the black market of drugs in order to survive. And that is why it's important to legalize drugs because less poverty, less crimes. And also another point that I want to make how legalizing drugs can help reduce crime is by is according to this article titled "Drug Prohibition and Poverty," uh, and it was written by Borden, in which it says the most frequently discussed from drug prohibition is violent drug trade participants using it because of either not having access to police or courts and to protect their interests or restraining the tactic they go by violence. And that's a good point about why legalizing drugs can help reduce crime because cartel and organizations have to fight and have to shoot bullets to each organization in order to control the market. Because since there is no regulation of drugs, there is no rules, and therefore off limits violence crime can happen between each other in order to control the market. And like for example, we don't see Heineken beer and Corona beer shooting each other because and not because to control the market. Because now we have regulation of beer and we have a set of standards and rules how it should be traded, how it can be protected, and how the police can protect your business, of course. And no violence is necessary and to compete each other. So that's why it's very important to legalize drugs to not to reduce crime. Now, my second point is how is the legalizing drugs can help to help increase pharmaceutical practices. According to an article by Stephanie Lake and Thomas Kerr, in which uh, a doctor in Canada named Dr. Haji Sadeh, in which he acknowledges the marijuana's therapeutic benefits to people who have, well, not benefit, but it helps to combat epilepsy. It helps to manage symptoms of chemotherapy. I mean, people who has cancer has to do chemotherapy, and marijuana can help uh, reduce the pain or the symptoms, and also it can help the neuropathic pain. So this is a good example. This is just one good example how the drugs can help increase pharmaceutical practices. Now, since drugs is illegal, there is now more limits for doctors to conduct more research about making more medicines and healthy medicines to people because we never know what these drugs can bring to society, and that's why it's important to legalize drugs. Now, my third point is that drug legalization can bring economic benefits. Since according to an article titled "Legalized Drugs Now," written by Block and Cusin in the year 2000, in which they say a free market economy, everybody has the opportunity to participate in the market and therefore equal opportunity to gain and positive sums transaction. So what this means is that when you legalize drugs, there will be more, especially in a free market country like US, there will be more uh, industries and drugs industry, which means there will be more employment, more factories, uh, and also it will help reduce the pressure to consumers to pay less on drugs, and because if it's legalized, then the prices of those drug consumption will be lower than it is offered in the black market. So that's why it's a good point why drugs should be legal. And another point is that according to uh, an article written by Michael Good, in which he informs the governor Andrew Cuomo, a governor of New York, legalized drugs because he was seeking to make more revenue from taxes. Since there's more market, more benefits, that means there will be more tax revenue in which it helps taxpayers to save more money on police and law enforcement. It will be spent on more in public services. So that's why it's a good thing about legalizing drugs because it bring more economic benefits. So to conclude, legalization of drugs will help society to make better laws and to realize better things through thinking and through regulating and through control. And that is why I favor of legalizing drugs. Thank you.